Is it worth to buy a Sony FX3 in 2023? Well, it's a nice day. Let's talk about it. Hello and welcome to the channel. So today we're going to talk about the Sony FX3. I've been reading a few comments on my channel asking if it's worth to buy certain cameras a few years after the release date. Well, the answer is short. It's very worth it. I bought a few cameras after the release date, a few years after the release date, including the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K, the Sony A7R3 and the Sony FX3. Well, if you look at my friend Joe, he bought a film camera from the 80s, I think. So he bought it last year. That's been a few years after the release date. So I got my Sony FX3 in June 2023 and the release date was February 2021. So more than 2 years after the release date. I personally think it's never too late to get the camera if it matches your requirements and needs at this specific time. And if you can get some money out of it, even better. So I use the Sony FX3 now for work, so I can cover the cost, after a few jobs. It was very pricey when it came out. That's why I didn't purchase it at the beginning. And that's one of the reasons why sometimes I recommend to wait to buy certain cameras. For generic reasons, for example, the cost will go down with the time. So after 2 years, definitely I got a better deal than if I would have purchased it at the beginning. And another reason is because the first batch of cameras sometimes have issues. And if you purchase one of those cameras, you will be one of the first people facing those issues without really any fix for it. It happened to me with the new Sony ZV-E1. So I purchased the camera, it was one of the first batches, and I had overheating issues. I had to return it. And actually, you can check the video up here. About the Sony FX3, I compared it with the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K a couple of years back because I wanted to test it out and see if it could replace my Blackmagic. But for the money at the time, I got stuck to the Blackmagic. And that's another video you can check in my playlist. Another example was with my Sony A7R3, which I had before. I sold because I needed some money, and after 2 years I rebought it because it was so good. So I think the Sony A7R4 was already out, and I still purchased the Sony A7R3 because it was perfectly matching my needs. So I didn't need anything else but that camera. So now the real reasons why I purchased the FX3 in 2023. First of all, it's a cine camera. Again, that's what I do for work. I make videos and take photography. And this is a cinema camera, but also I would call it a hybrid because you can still take photographs. I do a lot of vlogging as well, as you might know. And so that again matches my needs in terms of vlogging. And we're going to go through some more details. Most importantly, the quality, the image quality, which again, I tried this camera before and it looked great, really comparable with the Blackmagic. A lot of dynamic range, not much noise, especially when you use the native ISOs, which are 800 and 12,800. In terms of codecs and formats, you can record a 4:2 in 10-bit. You can record in S-Log 2 and 3. You got different resolutions and frame rates, including filming at 4K at 120p. I got this camera for its portability as well. The shape and the size. Blackmagic, it's much bigger, it's almost double the size. The shape is weird, you can't really balance it on gimbals, or at least you need a stronger gimbal. But this is very portable, very similar to the other alpha cameras. I've already owned a A7R, that's what I'm using for my photography jobs, and they can match perfectly. So I can fit two bodies in one bag if I wanted so. But if I want to travel as well lighter, I can just fit the FX3 in my bag and I'll be able to take videos and photos. So another reason is the ecosystem, again, because I was owning a Sony and the Blackmagic. I had a lot of Sony lenses, G Master lenses, very expensive. I didn't want to get rid of them, and luckily I haven't. So now I can use the same lenses on two different bodies, and that includes also batteries and charger. So whenever I travel, I only need the Sony batteries and one charger for both cameras. I don't have to carry around, two chargers, one for Blackmagic, one for Sony, different lenses, different batteries. Something else we might want to talk about is the batteries. They are very durable, so they last a few hours. They are quite small as well and light. And again, compared to the Blackmagic, it's a different world. With these batteries, at least I can film for 1 or 2 hours and take photographs maybe for the whole day. Also, there's a fan to cool down the system, even though this camera is still overheating, and that's something I never experienced with the Blackmagic, for example. First time I used the FX3, I got the warning, and the camera was overheating. I took the warning away, so I don't see it, but still the camera overheats. It's good to have the XLR handle that goes on top of your camera. If you want to record professional audio, that's the best way. But if you want to travel lighter, again, you've got a mini jack input inside the camera, and that's all you need, as I'm doing right now actually with this lapel microphone. Also, you have HDMI, a full HDMI size here in terms of output, so I can connect a monitor through the full size HDMI port, which is great because with other camera, even the older alpha cameras, for example, you have a mini HDMI and they break so easily, so it's great to have this here. Not to mention for vlogging, guys, the monitor tilting, it's completely articulated and it's flipping as well, so I can actually see myself without an external monitor, which is another thing you want to put in your bag, especially when you're traveling. For work, of course, I'm still gonna rig up my camera, and if you want to see my rigs, actually my setups, I just made a video, so go and check them out if you're interested in that as well. I also have a full frame sensor here, which means more light going to your sensor. That also means shallower depth of field and nice bokeh, but also a wider field of view, especially if matched with the G Master lenses, which are full frame lenses. If you look at the future, that's something I'm experiencing at the moment with my Blackmagic. This is a more mainstream camera. The FX3 is in more demand, and I literally struggle to find some online because they go so quickly. Even secondhand, people just buy them. I've been trying to sell my Blackmagic and it's been online for a while. No one wants it, even though it's undervalued. I really had to underprice it because it's such a niche camera. There's not much demand of it. So I think from now I will start looking at cameras under this perspective as well. So what's happening in the future? Can I sell them quickly? Well, then as last, I would also mention it's a good subject for my YouTube videos. I know I shouldn't buy a camera for something like this, and I haven't, but as I have it now, it's great to create content about the FX3 because again, it's on demand and a lot of people are interested, so it helps my channel as well with views and subscribers, so I take that advantage as well out of the camera. Overall, it's a great tool. I've been using it for the past 3 weeks. I haven't touched my Blackmagic again. If you're interested, it's on sale. But I've been filming interviews, behind the scenes, a few of my vlogs and promotional content for brands. It's great also to have the autofocus. That's something that really helps me because I'm a manual focus, guys. I love to have control on the focus and I love actually playing with the focus. But I realize it's very handy, especially when you've got the camera on the gimbal, like the behind the scenes I filmed a couple of weeks ago. It's just so helpful, and it takes so much struggle away from you. And also, if you match it with a great lens, as I have now, 24-70 Mark II G Master, autofocus nails the eye like the whole time. So in conclusion, it's never too late to buy a camera. It's not late to buy a Sony FX3 in 2023 or even later, if that matches your requirements. Also bear in mind, if you keep waiting, you will keep waiting forever. And also, the new model that will come out, it will not be perfect. So you won't be happy again. And what I'm saying, technology keeps evolving. You will always be able to sell your product because someone else will need it and you can buy the new one if it really satisfies your requirements at that specific time. Well, I hope the video was helpful. The weather changed. Hey, London. I think I covered everything I wanted to cover. If you have any question, let me know down here in the comment tab. And if you own the Sony FX3 as well, join my community. I really love to connect with other creatives. So get in touch, drop a comment, hit subscribe, hit the like button, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video.